Regal Movie Masters. Unlimited.
This is the Regal Movie Masters Unlimited podcast where we indiscriminately watch every goddamn movie that comes out at the local theater. The Movie Masters today are myself, I'm Colin. Over here we got Justine.
Hi.
Brent.
Hello.
And Dylan.
What's up?
Today we got 3 flicks. No, I'm sorry. Well, trying to determine the difference between movies and flicks. We have 3 highfalutin films, all very highbrow,
Yeah.
all very artistic.
Equally serious.
Yes. They're going to be the Super Mario Bros. Movie, Air, and 1001. Before we get started, I'm going to ask that everyone who has a question or comment, email us at moviemasters760@gmail.com. That's moviemasters, plural, 760@gmail.com for questions, comments, queries, all that sort of thing. Let's get started with some fun. It's a Super Mario Bros. Movie. That's the full title. Isn't it weird to have the title movie in the name of it?
Whoa, I just realized that.
The Super Mario Bros. Movie, which is the is kind of weird too, because there's going to be
No, it's the only one.
no, there's it is it's directed by 3 folks. It's directed by Nintendo. Yeah, I know. So one of them, Aaron Horvath, Dylan, directed 28 episodes of Mad TV.
Who? What season did it?
Didn't get that
Doesn't
deep into
specify.
it. And they were they've done like a lot of Teen Titans Go kind of that kind of animation stuff. And it was written by one guy, Matthew Fogel, who did the last Minions movie. That was his big claim to fame.
Is that the one we saw?
Yes, The Rise of Gru. Yeah. So he's
That guy's going to be able to make, or his agent is going to be able to make a big case for whatever his next movie is.
I mean, geez, yeah. If you think about if you're just looking at numbers, money made, you're doing all right for yourself. Yeah, we got Chris Pratt, Charlie Day, Jack Black, Waka Waka Waka. This is a movie about Super Mario. He gets sucked into a pipe, and he's in a crazy world, and there's creatures everywhere. He's got to figure this stuff out. Bowser is coming. He's a big old lizard man. I'm going to talk about this as if like you've never seen the game before, right?
Oh, it's based on a game.
Yes, there's a video game called Super Mario Bros. And it's a very popular game. It's been going on since the 80s, and this is an adaptation of it. Yeah, there's a Princess Peach. She's obsessed over, simped over, some might say, by one Bowser, the fire-breathing dragon. This is a bunch of gibberish strung together. This is the greatest example I can think of keys jangling in front of your face for an hour and a half, and I loved it. It's so fun. This is a great example of like how to execute complete fucking nonsense.
Meanwhile, there's so many men your age prepared to argue. You know what I mean? Like, that was the funniest thing is just how worked up people got over this video game movie. I mean, I know like we get worked up sometimes about some fucking dumb stuff, but you know, this one was like, I was like, really? You have really strong opinions against this Mario movie.
Okay, I'll tell you how. This is why YouTube radicalizes people. We watched one review where this guy, this esteemed gentleman and scholar, was like, okay, so it's not doing well review-wise on Rotten Tomatoes. It's hovering around like 50%.
Whoa.
Which is crazy to me because it's such like a, fun, easygoing, I mean, granted, I'm in the target demographic, someone who played Mario growing up a lot, but not obsessively enough as an adult to like be like, no, they got this wrong, they got that wrong. Just like, oh yeah, fun game. I remember those times. And then they're also playing music from when those times happened. It was like, oh yeah, I know, aha.
I've got a stat for you.
Sure.
Can you guess what percentage of ticket sales in America went to males between the age of 18 and 34?
18 and 34? See, that I almost feel like that's the wrong demographic.
Okay, but
I think it would lean a little older or a lot younger. I'll get males too. So they're not bringing dates. I would say, because you're bringing it up, I'm going to say it's a staggering number. And I'm going to guess that staggering number is 65%.
Dylan, would you like to wager a guess?
70%.
Justine?
My guess was around those two. I don't know how much more.
$1. No, 60%.
Okay.
Oh,
of
whoa.
sales went there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, this goofy person on YouTube was like, "Well, it's being bombed on or Rotten Tomatoes, or it's not doing well on Rotten Tomatoes with critics because it's not woke enough." And they're so mad because they would rather they like all the woke stuff that Pixar and Disney puts in, and because it's not woke enough, like Pixar and Disney movies have better reviews, but no one watches them and they lose money, and Disney is losing money because they're so fucking. Anyways, we watched one stupid video like this, and the algorithm is just like boom, boom, outrage, outrage, outrage. Like trying to. There is nothing. There is no controversy here. I don't think this is like a movie bereft of any angles to look at or anything like upsetting. I think it's if anything, some of the buzz I've heard is that like Nintendo was very controlling about what they could do and who they could use and all of that, which is understandable. It's
So that it ended up kind of bland, more bland than people would have.
I guess, but I don't. I mean, the Mario games have always kind of been just a like weird, cozy time spent in a crazy world, gnarly looking graphics, kind of like the best of what. It's a flagship title, right? So it's always going to have kind of like the best graphics and best mechanics and stuff like that. But the plot is never present. And so making a movie out of it, I think, is a challenge. And obviously that 90s movie kind of shows the difficulty of, looking at some sprites jumping around on mushrooms and being like, I got to make a movie out of this. How do I do it? And I don't have a better answer than what they did here. I mean, is there anything you guys wanted to see in a Mario movie?
Nope.
That they didn't see here?
I needed him to see that. I needed him to get the hat in Galaxy. I think he gets a hat. I need him to get that. Needed Waluigi.
Okay.
Oh.
You got me there.
Mario.
You got me there.
But then you could just make that into like Mario Party.
Yeah, I suspect the more movies are coming. Maybe they were just like, don't tip all our hand in one go. They put a lot of stuff into this.
Yeah.
Like that Mario, he gets sucked into this Mario world, let's call it, and he's just off and running as Donkey Kongs. I didn't know there was going to be Donkey Kongs in it, but we got Donkey Kongs. We got, just a member Berry Mania. It was just like, remember this, remember that. We got the song from the TV show was like their commercial when they're in the human world as plumbers, which of course I appreciate. That's just it. They are making a movie for people like me.
But isn't that the beauty of it? Is that there were so many parts during the movie that pull from the games that made different people feel a certain way because they've maybe played a game more than they did others. So like, like, oh my God, he got the suit on, like even the fireballs when that happened, everybody's like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I dip out after Mario 3.
Yeah.
I beat Super Mario World for SNES, but we're talking, this is ancient history, the SNES and all that. That was the last time I played a Mario game, so I didn't know what the hell has gone on with the franchise since then. And apparently, based on this film, nothing, because I was somehow able to keep up with this thing. I did have to ask Dylan what the blue shell was. He explained that to me.
Mm-hmm.
He explained that I was able to piece together there's Mario Karts.
Yeah.
I know there's carts.
Yeah.
That's about all I know, and I know the little hack thing in Rainbow Road. I know that. I don't know. Is this just, am I just letting this movie off for being such a packaged product?
I think you put it well when you said it's dangling keys in front of you, and it's fine. Like it's fine to have a giant movie that makes people happy every now and then.
Yeah, and I walked away from this feeling happy and not really talked down to per se. I mean, a little bit, a little talked down to. I don't know why the song selections that they picked. That was when I was like, okay, you're just putting, No Sleep Till Brooklyn and these kind of songs in here. This is a little on the nose, guys. Like,
I kind of like that because I feel like when you do a giant, like massively popular title like this and make a movie out of it, you kind of got to go with the most basic bitch choice.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you can afford it.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. And you're playing to the most mass audience you can. So take the most mass appeal songs you can, put them in there. You don't need any deep cuts on this.
Dylan, did you like the art style in this film?
Yeah. It reminds me of like the newer Mario games, like the 3D stuff.
Yeah.
Looks kind of like that, but with minionized.
Yeah.
Barely. It's not like, there's an actual minion other than in the beginning.
Well, I watched The Rise of Gru last year was my first Minions movie. And that's like, they have been bankrolled at this point, Illumination, right? And all I could think of watching that movie was, damn, this looks expensive.
Yeah.
Because it looks very expensive. And this was the same studio as, of course, Illumination. And watching this movie, I was like, damn, this looks expensive. Like, it all looks very good for, CG and 3D animated movies. Are we CG at this point? CG animated movies?
Yeah.
That's what I call them. I don't know if that's still relevant. But, yeah, for a movie with that kind of art style, like, I don't know the ins and outs and frame rates and everything. I just know when it looks really expensive, and this one looked really fucking expensive.
Since Dylan has a really good memory, and this is one of those rare movies that opened technically on a Wednesday, so they could yield the biggest box office that they possibly can on a holiday weekend. Dylan, do you recall the experience of going to the movie theater and like what we saw? Can you maybe describe some highlights?
Like the costumes?
Yeah. Could you describe some highlights for us?
Well, next to us were a group of guys dressed up like Mario characters. That was pretty cool. And like in the beginning of the movie, and I thought he was gonna like do it the entire time, and I didn't know if I had to like confront him about it. Dude had his phone like on the highest brightness, and he wasn't like looking straight at it. It was like kind of like turned towards me, so it wouldn't bother his friend or something. And I was like, God damn it! Like, do I have to deal with this fucking bright light while bright, colorful movie is playing in front of me? But that was fine. Then there's a kid in a Sonic onesie. That was cool.
That was good.
That was a cool kid. Like different,
I'm different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I'm a Sonic head, or I'm a Sega boy.
Yeah.
I'm just saddened that I didn't see enough Toad hats. I wanted more Toad hats in the crowd, honestly.
It wasn't zero Toad hats. And I'll say this, Dylan, just
Yes.
for perspective's sake. Consider the amount of Toad hats we saw at this movie versus any other movie we've gone to.
Exactly.
Far more.
Yeah,
Than
I would
the
love
average
to. I
film.
would love to see more Toad hats.
Okay, if you want to see more Toad hats, I'd highly recommend you make the drive up to Universal Studios and
Plug.
go to the Super Mario World.
Toad Hat Factory.
It's like every other dude has a Toad hat and or a Luigi shirt.
From what I know, in terms of their souvenir gear,
Yeah.
they have like Mickey ears, but they're Boo, like the ghosts. Like 2 ghosts for Mickey ears.
Okay.
I want that so bad, dude. I don't know.
Am I wrong for having Toad really low in my power rankings?
Nah.
Mario character. I think Toad's a punk ass little bitch.
Yeah, but he's in Wario's Woods and he goes. Blah, blah, blah.
Hey, you know what,
that's true.
though?
He is the main. You're right. He is the main character in my favorite Mario game, which is Wario's Woods for the NES.
I'd like to change my answer actually, and I'm gonna go. Toad was cute as hell in this movie.
He was cool, yeah. And I guess that could bring us to voice acting, right? 'Cause
Yes.
I think there's so little to grasp at with this film that people are like looking at every angle they can. They're like,
Like somebody needs a hot take for
Yeah,
a Mario movie.
exactly. Like,
You're looking at the wrong angles, bro.
yeah, like Chris Pratt exists, and I don't think anyone. Well, Jack Black is getting a lot of credit for being great. I think we can.
Oh
We're all-
yeah,
we're on
he was kind of
board with
born
that.
to be Bowser.
I feel like Peach and Mario both had just kind of whatever voices,
Yeah.
like not bad, not good. They were just.
I
there.
thought Peach was good. Anya Taylor-Joy.
I don't know what people are comparing these things to, where they're like, no, should have been somebody else.
Right.
So that he could depict what? Like, which version of this character are you like measuring this against?
It's almost like people get really passionate about movies about their childhood.
But
But
that's,
what is it compared to? That's my question.
They're
It's not
dumb
compared
heads.
to the movie.
I'll go as far as I'll extend that out, not just in voice acting, but the whole plot, everything. Like,
yeah,
what
that's
are we?
what I'm saying. Like,
What are we going?
what are we comparing this?
Yeah.
What are you angry about it
Do you
not
play the
measuring
video game
up
like
to?
this?
Right.
Yeah, it's like this game has no voices, no voice acting.
But I guess, Keegan Michael Key. That's the
Yeah.
I didn't even know it
Toad
was
guy's
him.
voice.
Yeah, the
He
whole
did-
time I was like, what the fuck?
And that's a good voice actor when you get lost in their character.
Mhm.
They don't step out to you as anything.
But
Yeah.
I realized that I don't even know what, like, without seeing his face and his mouth moving, I don't know what Chris Pratt's voice sounds like.
Right. And I think that's kind of what's cool about him, if you want to say that, is just that the blank slate factor. There is nothing. I have no feelings for or against Chris Pratt, and that's kind of an accomplishment at this point. a human blank slate. And it's like, yeah, why not put a blank slate in the place of quite literally a blank slate, which is Mario.
I would not say that I don't have any feelings toward him, but I would say that if I just heard him speaking, I would have no idea who it is.
Yeah, yeah, same. The only reason I knew it was him is because there's so much controversy about his voice going into it.
Yeah. And then it turns out that it's a whole lot of nothing to be concerned with.
Mm-hmm. Did you see the box office?
Oh, how are we looking?
$377 million, which sets a box office record for
gnarly.
Animated. It beat, of course, beat out Minions and Transformers for the biggest, opening.
What's
ever.
budget?
Ooh, that's a good check.
Which Transformers?
Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen brought in
Shut up.
$200 million.
Compared to that one?
I mean,
I guess
yes.
that could be the...
That was a hype one.
We are stretching the animated.
Yeah.
I didn't know. That's why I was like, which one are we talking?
That's considered animated?
I mean,
CG everywhere.
But we knew that there were some
Avatar isn't.
We knew there was some gamesmanship going on because we saw it really early, in the week. So we're like, I wonder if this is like strategic to get a massive number. But I don't think even they knew it was going to be that massive.
I think having a 90-minute runtime plays into that too, because that's just X amount more showings a day you can put on, So yeah, if we're getting, I think this is gonna move things into the shorter movie.
Budget was $100 million, so they've already moved.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah,
Good
That
God.
is cheap.
I know, because it looks great.
Looks
it does
fantastic,
not look
and they got A-list, actors too
Right?
involved.
right.
They got B-list actors.
Hey, don't talk about Fred Armisen that
No,
way.
Hey, come
Anya Taylor-Joy.
on.
Pratt, Anya
Yeah,
Taylor-Joy.
they're kind of whatever. Or about that level.
Yeah, I think Pratt's box office gross probably bumps him to A-list. Maybe if he's not culturally A-list, he's definitely financially A-list.
Yeah, I wasn't saying A-list in terms of like body of work, but rather money.
Yeah, that
I would like to know how much he gets. I mean,
between Guardians and Jurassic
look,
Park,
he's not
Jesus.
like a RDJ A-list.
You can't do a Guardians movie without him. There's on their
sure,
fourth
but-
one.
I will reduce this down to household name.
There we go.
There we go.
The money made on the Jurassic World trilogy.
He's in more than one Jurassic Park
He's
movie?
in
He's
the
in the
three.
whole-
He's the one we
trilogy.
didn't see.
I have not seen him.
No, right, but they should made enough money to.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's a numbers guy.
He's like Zoe Saldana then.
Oh yeah, or he's just in all the.
She's in everything that makes tons of money.
But I think there is another asterisk I'm going to put on his name because he had that Parks and Rec thing.
Yeah.
So just like hours that he takes up in people's eyeballs,
Yeah, okay.
like not necessarily our eyeballs, but the people that like to just watch the same
Yeah.
NBC sitcoms over and over again. He's taking up some space in some minds. That's all I'm saying. He's got some. he's doing the damn thing.
So for our friend in the Sonic onesie, Sonic 2 opened to 72 million.
Really, opening weekend for Sonic 2 was 72 million. That was COVID shakeoff. I'm going to put an asterisk on that one too. Are we at the dawn of video games usurping superheroes as IP that gets turned into big budget summer movies?
Just through Sonic and Mario?
I mean, that's not a bad start.
Yeah, it's not. That's like...
I mean, if you want to, I think seeing the hype around Last of Us, it's a TV show and everything, but that's still some validity.
How deep's the bench, would you say?
What's that?
How deep is the bench? Like who else can we send out there?
I mean, I've been championing this since our Sonic run. I need a goddamn Golden Axe movie.
I would watch a Golden Axe movie.
I would watch the shit out of a Golden Axe movie.
NBA 2K movie.
Ooh.
I would watch an NBA 2K movie.
That'd be too specific. There's so many basketball
I
films.
know.
All of a sudden, it's like NBA 2K.
Justine, what video game do you want to see first on the screen?
Well, it's the one that my little brother is going to be in if it ever gets made.
Which is?
Is Streets of Rage.
Oh my good.
I would watch a Streets of Rage movie.
It'd be unbelievable.
Yeah.
A Streets of Rage movie.
But it's going to happen. I'm
Yeah.
manifesting this.
I don't see how it couldn't.
Yeah, it's stupid for
I
it
mean-
to have already not have been done. But I mean, if now is the era, pretty good time.
There's even a game made recently that's phenomenal. So it's not
Yeah.
like it's, a dusty old piece of antiquity.
Mm-hmm.
Did they make a Zelda movie? Yeah.
No.
Oh man, that's got to happen. Metroid. I mean,
Metroid would
there's
be massive.
a lot
Call
of
of Duty, dude. That'd be pretty cool.
Ooh.
would be hard.
It's called the news.
Dude, can you imagine a Resident Evil movie?
Oh.
You know what game I like? Doom.
Oh, shit.
Ooh, dude, a Kirby movie? Oh.
Bro, the Star Fox movie is going to be fucking
The
disgusting.
Super Smash Brothers movie?
I mean,
where they
that's-
all put them together
That's
and they
their,
kiss?
is that their Infinity War?
Yeah, I can see that. The real MCU.
Yeah, just builds up to
Or
that.
MCU, I guess.
This writes itself too well. I
Ice
mean,
climbers.
hey,
And then James Gunn gets involved and he's like, Duck Hunt, the movie.
There was a weird preview at the beginning of Mario that looked like it was going to be a duck hunt thing.
No.
Yeah, we just missed it. But it was another movie.
Yeah, it was like a movie, but it was like a bunch of ducks.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
You
flying.
didn't see that when you walked in?
Nah, I was just too
was
like
really
weird.
tunnel vision
Too.
for Mario.
I
I
didn't
don't
even piece it together until Justine like nudged at me and was like, Duck Hunt the movie. And I was like,
It was
what? Shut the
weird.
fuck up. And I was like, oh, okay.
You told her to shut the
Well,
fuck
because it was
up.
like a green duck and everything. I was like, oh
Yeah,
shit. Like, that's a,
I
that-
don't remember that at all.
They would do this at the goddamn Mario movie.
That's why I was like, I've never seen this before. Man, this must be a extended
Oh,
universe.
you know what?
thing."
It happened while I was looking for my ticket stub on the floor.
Oh.
yeah, most of my favorite games are like puzzle games. So like, I definitely do not want a Tetris movie.
I think they tried to make one.
There's
or-
there's the Tetris biopic and
okay.
documentaries and movies about like competitive Tetris players and stuff like that. But like a raw dog fictional, like I am the king of the Tetrazoids and all
I
that stuff.
swear there's
Where
one
the
in
pieces are
production for
talking.
Yeah, I'm not here for
What
that.
about Bubble Bobble?
Bubble Bobble could go hard.
Yeah, the two dinosaurs that's like, we have to make 3 reds.
the complicated true story behind Apple TV's Tetris movie. So I
Yeah.
think, is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, that one
Okay,
came out
okay.
very recently. A friend of mine who's a little too in the reads with the history of that movie was saying he was just watching it and just like pulling his hair out like, no, wrong, no, didn't happen like that, no, just like losing his mind. He gave it a very scathing review. But you know, I have no problem believing that's a flim flam movie.
What I would be curious about is like how the quote unquote fandom for video games would be different from like comic books. Like when they first started coming out,
Right.
I don't know if it's just video games have like a wider audience, right?
Of
Like
course.
a wider appeal. So I don't know if this Mario movie is kind of bellwether or whatever,
Right.
where it's like, I don't know, they should like it, but they don't.
Yeah.
Like how safe do you have to play it for like future adaptations of things, especially with something so simple? I don't know. Well, maybe they need to get into a more complicated thing where they can just follow the script exactly
Yeah,
like
I
The
mean,
Last of Us does.
there is like Final Fantasy and Dragon Warrior and those kind of games where it's like, centered on a specific plot with lore and stuff like that built
Mhm.
in. So that's a possibility. But I think if you really break down a lot of that stuff, like, can you imagine a fucking Kingdom Hearts movie or something where it's like trying to bring up time travel and why Goofy is involved for some reason? And
Why
who's
Goofy is
the
a
Kingdom
not
Hearts
dog.
guy? Soren or
Fuck. Dora?
man, stuff like that.
Mickey
Where there's,
Mouse?
where there's stuff like that where there's like a lot of plot
Mhm.
that might be a little too much. You probably want to be in that sweet spot where you can kind of write your own world around it.
Yeah.
Overall, Super Mario Brothers. Are we gonna warp to level 9, or are we just gonna turn the game off and walk away? I'll say I'll take the warp. I'll go into the warp zone. This is a very fun movie and not much else, but I don't think it needs to be much else. And in a world where a lot of IP just gets adapted and is not always great, this is a good example of how to do like just a pure high octane sugar rush of an adaptation of an IP that really, I think if people are being honest with themselves or can't really be mad at. Maybe not overly thrilled or like make it part of regular rewatches, but like a good time, particularly a good time at the theater. I don't think there's much that beats this. So yeah, I'm taking that warp zone.
Yes, I don't know what you're talking about. I have not played that many Mario games with the warp that I'm gonna guess that it's good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, as a person who didn't really play a ton of Mario or anything, I think that people who are taking it too seriously are like forgetting that this is also supposed to not just appeal to 50-year-old men,
Yes.
but to like 8-year-old kids, who are presently playing Mario
Right.
games, and that's who it really is for. That's the new generation of that. So I think to have a movie that appeals to both, and it's 95 minutes or whatever, and it looks great, of course, it's a good job. They did a great job of being able to appeal to everybody, I would assume.
And I got to piggyback on your point there, because I think this appeals to kids and adults. That's like the flag that Pixar has been waving for 2 decades now. And it's like, not really. You've kind of made a movie that's a little boring for a kid's movie and a little dumb for a grown-up movie.
Yeah.
Like, I think I've always taken umbrage with the people who are moved to tears during Pixar movies or something.
But this was like, depending on how familiar you are,
Right.
you are still able to get something out of it.
Yes.
Like there's people who are going to notice things in the background that I don't get,
course.
but there's things that I'm going to get that I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. That's fun. And then I guess if the more you know,
Right.
the more in depth you will notice that they've gone. So that's what I mean by like kids that are going to be like, Donkey Kong,
Right.
or that's gonna be fine. And then if you're one of those people that notices like the arcade cabinets
Yeah.
in the
Oh, I see. There was a picture for the original 8-bit Kung Fu in the background.
Exactly.
How interesting that sprite makes his appearance in the.
yes,
Yeah,
So,
this is a kind of like, it appeals to kids and adults that I can get behind, as opposed to like, my mom died and now it's a movie. We all have moms, so we can
nobody's
relate.
mom dies in this movie.
Nobody's mom dies in this movie. Hey, round up for Hollywood. You made a movie. Wait,
I don't know. Peach's parents weren't there, and they
That's true.
made a big.
She just
might
got
be.
sucked up.
That's weird too. They introduced some weird lore because we don't know if it's like, she's like, maybe I'm not a human. Like, what the fuck?
Takes off her crown. There's like a fucking
Ew.
Yeah, cat ears.
yeah.
Brent, where are you at? You warping?
Tentacles.
I'm not gonna warp, but it's not because I didn't like the movie. I'm not gonna warp because I want to go through all the levels to earn the
Right.
respect
Right.
of my friends Donkey
Yes.
Kong and Princess Peach.
Right.
You know what I mean? I want them to see me go through the struggle so they respect me more.
Dylan.
I'm gonna go through the warps. I'm gonna give it a big old woohoo.
Hey. Air is a movie directed by Ben Affleck, and this is a movie about the signing of Michael Jordan onto Nike, and the very beginning and gestation period of the Air Jordan shoe that Nike has released. And I don't know of a better way to explain it other than that. Sounds very dull. Maybe it is, but I was over the moon at this historical biopic. What do you call it when it's not like a biopic? It's like event pic.
Based on true event pick.
Okay, yeah, it's not bio. It's kind of bio, but not really. They don't get into the little details of all the people's lives or anything. It's just like, here's this event. Nike is in the mid '80s. Their basketball division is floundering. They need to sign someone who's like lightning in a bottle. Their scout sees Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan doesn't want to sign with them. He's into Adidas. He's into Converse. And this guy, he's like, no, we need him. And so like he has to convince the company to put all the money onto MJ, and all the resources go on there. And he's got to fight with MJ's agent, and he does subterfuge to talk to his mom, played by Viola Davis. It's, you know what this genre is? It's men yelling at each other.
I was gonna say, this is another movie where a lot of people talk themselves out of even going to see the movie before they knew a goddamn thing about like what was actually going to be on the screen. It's like, I'm not going to see a movie about a fucking shoe. Like, how entertaining could that be? Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I don't know how the film's doing or anything like that. I haven't heard anything bad about it, but most of my stuff comes from like sneaker people. And
$20 million opening, pretty good.
Okay,
Yep.
what's the budget on this one?
I don't know.
Man, I like Ben Affleck. I really do. He's one of those like dark horse guys where you're like, oh yeah, he was in this and he was in that He was in this other thing.
And as a director, he directed The Town.
Yeah,
Really awesome movie.
Argo and Gone Baby Gone. Man's got me and him are on the same wavelength, man. See him, you see me. See me, you see him. We look exactly the same. We make the same amount of money. We're just in the same league. I really like what he does in general in this movie's.
Like the Criterion classic Armageddon.
Bingo. Yeah, space cowboy dating Liv Tyler. And
Crazy how like you're holding a bunch of Dunkin' Donuts coffee and wearing a Bridge 9 Records shirt right now.
Hey, what the fuck are you talking about, pal? Listen. No,
He did The Town, right?
Yeah, amazing movie.
It's a good movie.
He's with Matt Damon again.
Yes, back together, the dynamic duo.
Who Matt Damon stars in this movie
Yes,
too.
and that's just the thing. He's Matt Damon in this movie has to convince everyone to give him money, so he's yelling at people. You don't understand what this guy's got, and then they're like, "You're always irresponsible." And then
because his job title is just basketball guru. Because Phil Knight is such like he's kind of a spiritual, kind of like a weirdo CEO, but that's his old buddy, and he believes in him. But now that Nike had gone public at that point. He was so worried about the board and that sort of thing. Yeah.
And so, of course, the chemistry between Affleck and Damon and Phil Knight and the scout guy, it's like perfect because they're like, old buddies, been through a lot. And that plays out on the screen really well. And it's fast paced, I think. I mean, for what's essentially not a very long period of time, maybe a week of actual time where he's like, we need to get this guy. And then they just have to slowly convince Michael Jordan's family.
Everybody.
Well, yeah, because like the other shoe brands, they were seeing maybe not the granular detail that Damon's character was seeing in Jordan, but everybody saw that there was something to this guy.
Right. And
Sonny
Vaccaro, right?
There we go.
Yeah.
And there's a really funny moment, on the big signing when he's like, everyone at this table is going to be forgotten except for you, Michael Jordan. You're going to go down as a legend. And like, I was so stoked to see Peter Moore on there because Peter Moore designed the shoe. And I'm like fixated on sneaker designers, and like to see that character come out and be like, here's what I've been working on. Here's the tech and everything. They didn't get too deep into the tech or anything.
With a slight lisp. That was incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know that actor's name, but I thought he did a great job.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I've seen like actual interviews with Peter Moore, so I don't know that his voice is like that, but he designed a lot of really good shoes. And they didn't get too deep into like, well, there's air in the midsole that you can't see or blah, blah, blah. They didn't tech spec you to death
Mentioned
or anything.
That for 1.5 seconds.
Right.
And they moved on. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
so, but a big part of the actual signing of Michael Jordan was like, we're going to build a shoe just for you and to your specifications. Because like, I think he played in, what was the Converse he played in? It was, Rivalries top 10. There was like a lot of models that were kind of like the Jordan 1, and that's why I am just fixated on the Jordan 1 in general. Is like it really is. If you look at even other shoes that Nike had done before, like the Terminator and the Ship is one of them. There was just enough tweaks and changes to where it's like that is just the apex of that style of basketball shoe, and it's hard to talk in terms of design of like, well, how do you get the best of one specific kind of thing? Because a little bit, later.
That's why he asked form or function.
There we go. And for me, it was just so exciting that they spent enough time on like the design of the shoe itself. In real life, it was something kind of made for Jordan. That's what gave him the edge to sign with them because everyone else is just like, and they show this in the movie too, they're like, yeah, just wear one of our shoes. Nike's like, no, we're going to make you a shoe. And so it's like, that's a pretty appealing proposition.
As a person that's so passionate about the Jordan 1 and sneakers in general, what did you think about the presentation of the shoe at the pitch?
I think they tried to run it kind of like in Pulp Fiction where they show the thing that was like, you don't ever see it. And they play that trick a little bit with Michael Jordan because you don't see Michael Jordan in the movie. He doesn't have like dialogue. You'll see like the back of his head and stuff, and they'll go through really funny ways of not showing Michael Jordan.
I think they might have done that so the movie wouldn't tank because nobody could portray.
It's such a smart choice because you can't do it
Yeah,
it's
you can't.
impossible.
You only hear him say one word.
Right.
On the phone, right?
Yeah. And so it's economic too. And you end up giving more of the role to Viola Davis's mom, who's like, does a great job acting like a protective mother who's into her son's best interests and who's business savvy and smart enough to make sure he's not getting screwed over by this deal or that. And so it's a really interesting choice to be like, it's a movie essentially about Michael Jordan without Michael Jordan in it. And this is the only way you could tell the story. I don't know. I thought that was a smart move. The shoe itself, they really have like glory shots of the sneaker and everything. And I don't know if it has the same effect for a lot of people watching it, or
even if it doesn't on the shoe level. I think the Viola Davis angle, which is effectively changing the game in terms of black talent versus corporate America,
right,
and how to structure a deal.
Yes.
When you have a generational talent like that, because like there's that really not pivotal, but there's like a heavy scene where Matt Damon wants Michael Jordan so bad, but he's at a level where he can't approve numbers,
right?
And so he's talking to Jordan's mom, and he's just like, I that's not how it's done. He wants Jordan so bad, and he doesn't realize that you can ask to shift the paradigm for him, and he's freaking out because he thinks he's going to lose the deal because he's not able to concede to Jordan's mom's request for the structure of the deal.
Yeah, she wanted
Only Phil could approve that. Yeah.
She wanted a percentage of the shoe sold to go to Michael Jordan, and that hadn't been done before. They
on
just
top of
yes,
the record-breaking contract,
right,
and the Mercedes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was an endorsement deal and money on the shoe that has his name on it. Phil Knight approving that deal, it goes to like, his foresight. And it's just great from a movie perspective because you're watching this and you're like, this is really important. Everyone needs to go along with this. But people are like, giving them pushback and dragging their feet. And so you, the viewer, is like, I know. Even though it happened, like everything worked out.
When they said $250,000, I was like, oh my God, for 5 years, what the fuck are you doing? Offer mortgage your house, do everything.
Yeah, so there's like you have some information that the people in the movie don't have.
But they have a device that addresses that. They the convenience store clerk. You know what I mean?
Right,
just like,
right.
Yeah, too short, man. You don't draft a guard that high. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like after the first year, they're like, yeah, man, everybody knew.
Right.
As a non-sneaker or basketball or sports person,
right?
I still thought it was a good watch. Like, it's cool because you get to see everything that came together to make this like very iconic thing.
Right.
The Jordan shoe, Jordan as a person,
right.
And the establishment of Nike as something bigger than just like a running shoe company, all happening like because of the same deal is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And so you kind of get to see how close the world was to not getting those things.
Right.
And yeah, there's like a lot of different aspects of it. I really like them showing the design of the shoe. Mm-hmm. I really like them saying like the marketing part of it.
Yes. Right.
Just like the brilliant tactic of, you can only make a white shoe with like accent colors. And they're like, no, just make a colorful shoe. It's like, but he'll get fined. We'll pay the fine. Yeah. He'll still wear the shoe. It'll be a big deal. It's like, that is brilliant. That's a great idea.
Turn that into an advertising campaign.
Yeah.
Of course.
And so all of this was like just taking chances, doing weird things, spending money to make money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A lot of really cool things that came together. So it's neat, even if you're not surprised by what happens, because you know what's going to happen. And even if they don't show Jordan, he's more like the goal.
Yeah.
He's not a person that you need to worry about in this. You know who Michael Jordan is. But he's like part of the goal of these other people. And I don't know anything about those other people either, but they all seem pretty cool.
Right.
Kind of weird because the dialogue in some parts seems very like ad-libbed and casual.
Yeah.
It seemed like Matt Damon was really laughing at some of the things
that
were being said.
I think it's because like when there's passion involved in like trying to get somebody to sign with you, you're gonna say some like unintentionally funny shit. Like, his name's not Adi, it's Adolf. Like, that got me so good because it's so like, I've got to win this, and I'm gonna say everything I can possibly say and think of in order to like make my case to get this kid.
Did you guys have any thoughts on the music in this? I have a weird theory.
Go ahead.
there's a lot of syncs. There's almost a constant
Yeah.
running of music playing. I was thinking of like the through line of all the songs, you know, because it's
Okay.
varies wildly. And I think it's all music that was either cutting edge for the time and has aged very well, like a Cyndi Lauper or a Dire Straits, Violent Femmes,
Yeah.
kind of stuff that was at its time super fresh, but hasn't gotten dated. Or it was artists from the 70s that were able to like adapt into the 80s very well, like ZZ Top and Shaka Khan were in there. Artists who may have been stuck in one space who ZZ Top to me, I'm weirdly fascinated with that Eliminator album, because it's like ZZ Top is not the band that should have shifted into the 70s so well, you know,
the
like
80s.
not
Yeah.
into the 80s. Like they're these shit kicking bar band if you're listening to Tres Hombres, and then by the time Eliminator hits are like slick and MTV ready. Doesn't make any sense on paper.
But I was about to say they were MTV ready.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah.
And so it just somehow worked out. Like same, if you will, for Nike with like their, if you think of like Cortez era Nike, like
Absolutely.
Blue Ribbon Sports selling Onitsuka Tigers out of the back of the trunk, like Waffle Racers, Daybreaks, like that Nike transitioning into the 80s. Like I was kind of drawing parallels musically and like
cool
with
that you saw
the
it that way,
company. I don't know how intentional that was. I think they were probably just playing songs that were like, make them
that
know it's the
lined up.
80s.
Yeah.
But they were
Yeah.
like cutting edge in their time, or like new, like, and the same with the
They're phenomenons in their time.
same with the Jordan 1, it was like new and it was fresh
Mhm.
in the way that like a Violent Femmes was, but years later it still kind of has that like freshness to it.
Yeah.
There's nothing like played out or stale or anything. And I think the musical cues were keeping those ideas in mind. There's like parallels you could draw to the company, the sneaker, and the music. This is my thing. I don't know if there's how
I like that you went that deep with it.
those were my thoughts.
I didn't remember any of the music except the My Adidas
Right.
and then that Violent Femmes part.
The Cyndi Lauper part was pretty, memorable for me
Remember
anyway.
that.
Yeah.
You know what? It just reminded me that there was like that song that I Need a Hero
Right.
in Mario, which we also just saw in the Shazam movie.
Yes.
It was
And I heard is also in the Tetris movie.
And if you told me it was in the Jordan movie, I would have believed you.
Yes.
Yeah. Someone's making money.
Yeah.
Surprised you didn't catch that there was 2 Violent Femme songs.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
one in there.
I got it.
That was weird, man.
I
I was
mean,
like, that's a crazy call.
They're gonna use
Blister
those
in the
songs.
Sun, yeah, that's fine. But then the other one, I was like, what the fuck?
It's a deeper cut.
I know,
Yeah.
same album too. I was like, oh.
Yeah, that record is never gonna die.
Nope.
Fucked up,
Because
right?
of Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
That's true. Sabrina the Teenage
that-
Witch. There was an episode where,
it's like one of her favorite. It's like her favorite band.
Can you tell us what year that episode came out?
Oh wow.
it's very important. The first Violent Femmes record is 84.
I thought it was 70s.
No,
No, I thought it was like 83, 82, 83.
I think it might be 84. Though
Definitely fact check that one. But I mean, I know that the crazy thing about my introduction to the Violent Femmes is it was pre-internet, so but nobody had the record. We just knew that there was this band called Violent Femmes, and so like as the months went by, you just kept thinking about that name, Violent Femmes. What does that even mean? I don't know what that is. And you'd build it up, and when I hear this fucking band, it's gonna blow my mind. Then you put it on, and the guy's just like, add it up, and you're like, oh, that doesn't sound at all like. But it was still tight, because you're like, okay, there's something still cool going on, but it sounded nothing like what I dreamt up in my head.
April 13th, 1983.
83.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a big like SoCal rock record. So all those stupid fucking songs are just embedded in my brain forever.
Skaters like fucked with it.
Right.
Probably. Yeah.
That one and like the Dead Milkmen. Like
Yeah.
growing up in San Diego, the songs are burned into my head, and I have no problem believing that 50 years from now, people are going to still be hearing those songs. The point with this Sabrina the Teenage Witch issue, though,
97. Yes.
came out in 15 years after the album in question, and in that 15-year time between the album with Gone Daddy Gone and Blister in the Sun and all that, Violent Femmes did not have one hit song between that time. They put out albums, but all their albums that aren't that first record completely fucking
What's
suck.
wild is like it every generation has their Violent Femmes phase. I remember when I was in high school, we saw them play in a stadium in DC.
It's so nuts.
You know, because that was like their first like really big pop.
Right.
You know, but it just keeps happening.
And they put out records and everything, but no one, it's just that first record that anyone cares about. So it's insane that Sabrina, the Teenage Witch, Melissa Joan Hart, that is obsessed with this band that put out one significant record, 15 years.
And she like thinks the guy
prior.
is like really dreamy and stuff.
A textbook schlub.
Yeah. Respect.
Yeah, no shade or anything, but yeah, a hilarious pick for.
I may be misremembering this, but I feel like one of like BMG or Columbia House, they had a Violent Femmes greatest hit CD, and it was basically just the first record.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. Air. Is this a slam dunk, or is this a foul? we sign in this rookie, or are we gonna let Converse take him?
Are we getting John Stockton?
Or Sam Bowie.
I say sign this rookie. Sign on. Now I enjoyed this film thoroughly. This is much like the Mario movie. Mario movie was like, I'm in the demographic that it's made for, and I understand that, and I feel a little bit talked down to, but not enough to ruin my enjoyment of it. This is a movie with me very much so in mind, and I don't feel talked down to. I feel like I feel pleased. And again, not just because of the sneakers and stuff, but because very much so. I cannot stress enough. I love men yelling at each other. The movie, the genre. I like Glengarry Glen Ross is the alpha and omega of this genre, I think. But like, man, just anything in that constellation, I'm gonna love. And this is a men yelling at people movie, and I loved it. God damn it.
Justin, did you see it as a men yelling at each other movie?
I know it's one of these movies that Colin likes, of people on the phone, people making deals.
Are you shitting me or are you not shitting me? Don't shit on a plate and then make me eat it, because I will fucking kill you, you fuck.
I feel that kind of undersells Viola Davis's massive role in this movie.
Oh yeah, it's not just
Yeah, it has featuring men yelling at each other on phones and stuff.
right, but also science,
Yeah.
Also,
Design,
history,
marketing tactics.
Yeah.
Reading people.
sure.
Yeah, there was a lot of
faith
Chris
in your
Tucker,
old friends.
good in it. Marlon Wayans,
Right,
he's in it. Jason Bateman, probably my favorite part of the movie.
right.
Yeah.
Chris, a company man who's just knows the stakes are dire.
Yeah, real subtle, but like
Yeah.
funny and pivotal, but just kind of doing his job. But yeah, what signing? Is that what it was?
Yeah. You gonna sign him?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because now we know what happens, and I like that they tell people what Gonzaga is.
There we go.
Or where it is. Yeah.
Shout out Gonzaga.
Where's Gonzaga?
Yeah, love this movie. Definitely signing. Like I said, I'd mortgage the house, but I think in terms of the Affleck filmography, solid number 2 behind the town.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm signing the third pick, Michael Jordan. I'm gonna sign him, and then I'm gonna do the big reveal of the Jordan 1
Yes.
Chicago colorway.
Right.
That was crazy, man.
Yeah, just to see that on screen, all glory shotted.
Yeah, and just like, whoa, that's the shoe they made?
Right.
Crazy.
They
That was
showed
good.
They showed it was rivalries when he meets with Adidas.
Yeah, it was a bunch of forums.
Forums, they're the ones with the strap all
And,
lined up and everything.
Also, the Converse was a fast break.
There we go.
I was trying to remember it too.
Fast break mid. Good shoe.
That was a good touch where they just they brought out the 3 forums, just 3 different colors of the same shoe. And they're like, hey, come and sign with us. You'll be with the greatest players right now. So that was great that they're like, here's one shoe. It's in a glass case. This is the Jordan.
Your shoe. It has your name on it.
Your name is on it.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
Right.
Signing Michael Jordan.
And make it an entertaining film.
Yeah.
Man, this movie did make me want to move to Oregon.
Yeah.
All the green and why can't I just jog outside when it's nice and lush, ignoring the fact that it's usually like freezing or raining or really unpleasant.
Yeah.
That Beaverton, Oregon lifestyle. I thought that was so funny. The agent, he's like, "What the fuck are you guys in Oregon?" It's like, they like it here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Peter Falk is the agent, and I'm like, I love that agents are so up their own ass. They sign off on that portrayal of himself.
Right.
They're just like, yeah, I'm a fucking asshole that eats alone.
I have a question,
Go on.
and this is for you specifically,
Ooh.
Colin.
Thank you. Thank you for looking out for me like that.
What was your honest reaction when one of the heroes was just bare feet on the counter on the table of his office? What was your honest reaction? How many pictures did you snap?
Well, I first of all, I put it in the brain to log on to WikiFeet later
Yes.
and really scope out what was going on with those souls.
Yes.
Okay, listen, all you foot fetishists out there, and we don't kink shame on here, so don't take this as a slight. You want to see the soles of Ben Affleck's feet? I have a movie for you. It's called Air. Glory shots.
Crazy.
I have a theory.
On top and bottom.
I feel like people who have foot fetishes and people who are completely oblivious to foot fetishes will put a lot of feet in their movies.
Yeah.
I don't think someone
by accident.
Yeah. Like, I don't think someone who doesn't think about it is going to put it in, but like, I can't express how much, like, if this is like, what was that Sharon Stone movie, The Basic Instinct, right? Where she gives you a little flash of what's going on down there and people couldn't stop talking about it for 5 years.
Yep.
Like, let me tell you, that is nothing compared to the amount of feet you see in this movie. I mean, Phil Knight's really just, or he really wanted you to show his feet.
I am glad that that scene happened, and I was like, gross. Like, why is this happening? But then they show you at the end when they show you the real pictures of people and stuff. There's a picture of him,
Right.
the real guy, at his desk with his shoes off because he's like a running hippie or whatever.
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
like, oh, okay, he's like this cool guy.
Let his dogs breathe.
Yeah.
I do like that, two of the most powerful forces in Jordan's life are both named Phil. He's got Phil
we go.
Jackson, the coach, as well. He was also very non-traditional in terms of how you're supposed to do your job.
So wait a second, Dylan. What did you feel about those
Back to the
deep
feet,
ass,
though.
dirty ass souls
Were they
flopping
dirty?
around?
No.
I
No.
noticed they
It's
were
like
not dirty. They were
pristinely
super clean.
I think if Ben Affleck really is a foot guy, I think
He wouldn't show his own feet.
Yeah, he'd be too self conscious, right?
Yeah, he would make like the office ladies show their feet. Like,
Yeah.
oh, he's not even taking a break, and then they just put their bare feet on their counter. That's the way he would be all foot.
Or
fetishy.
maybe Affleck's got a Patreon, and the highest tier is for $500, I will put my feet in a major motion picture just for you.
I think this movie confirms to me that Ben Affleck is not a foot guy.
Yeah, because he just put his own foot.
Yeah, he wouldn't do it. He'd be too self
He
conscious.
didn't even put Michael Jordan's foot. That'd be weird.
That'd be very
You don't
weird.
see his face, but
Just
you see his
feet.
Lots
Big
of
ol'
Jordan feet.
I think one foot. Didn't he have like a size 12 on one foot and a size 13 on the other?
Jordan?
Yeah. That's what I heard. Like, that's how you can tell the game worn shoes.
Oh, that they're mismatched.
Yeah.
Kinda.
And, if you're Jordan, you can do that. If you're an average consumer, it's going to be really hard. One foot is bigger than the other.
Such a simple but beautiful line. It was like, it's not the shoe, it's the person putting the...
Oh, a shoe is only a shoe until
Somebody steps in.
There you go.
There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
1001 is the directorial debut of one A.V. Rockwell. She directed this film starring Teyana Taylor. How would you describe this film? It follows the life. It's chopped up into 3 segments, like the early 90s in New York City, and then like 2001 in New York City, and then it cuts again to 2004 in New York City.
So a single mother
Right.
is struggling to raise her kid in New York City, while she shouldn't have this child because she technically kidnapped him from like child services, so that he could be under her care.
Right. First, you see her. She's in a shelter, and the kid's in a group home, and she's like kind of trying to be with this kid and take care of it. And you, the viewer, are just like, oh well, she must have had her kid taken away from her for some reason, and then turns out that she just took him. She saw someone who was like struggling like her, and she was just like, I don't want this kid to grow up in a home. And like, I don't know, in a sense, it's like kindred spirits. She's raising the kid, and the kid doesn't find out till later.
Yeah, that's that's really something that happens like at the end. That's like a
Right.
reveal. But they are like in the same neighborhood, and she's
Yeah.
like, "Why are you not talking to me?" They have an established relationship, and then she's like, "Do you want to like come home with me instead of being at this home?" And he's like, "Yeah, but you can't tell anybody like your real name and stuff." And so they set up this life together. The boy is really maladjusted, like doesn't talk and stuff, and she doesn't have like a steady job, and they're like couch surfing, and she's making moves, really tough lady, you know,
Right.
to the point that people don't like her because of it.
Yeah. Harlem. So it's like
Yeah.
hard, tough Harlem lady.
Yeah. She's just working nights, and the kid is staying alone, you know, just being a weirdo and trying to navigate being a weirdo
Right.
and not being able to tell anyone who you are and stuff. And yeah, it's very dramatic. You see the boy growing up, and it's also a really smart kid, but he has no means. And there's like a love interest who's maybe his dad, maybe not his dad. It's not a fun movie to watch.
Yeah.
You're just seeing people struggle and live.
But I will say that there's a line that the Teyana Taylor says at one point when she's talking to said love interest. She's like, damaged people don't know how to love each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's kind of the movie summed up in one line.
Yeah.
And it's like, if that line sounds unappealing to you, then this movie is going to be a real drag. If that sounds like a very interesting concept to explore, I think you're going to probably like this movie a lot. I like this movie a lot. I think it also did something that I may have never seen in a movie before and that I appreciate greatly, which is that first chunk of the movie where it shows her couch surfing, trying to get settled in and everything. I think there's a very hacky version of this movie where it's like they're settled into an apartment and she has a job and the kid's in school and she's like, there we go, we made it. And then credits. And this movie's like, no, show me like 10 years ahead of time.
Yeah.
Where the kid is a maladjusted teen. He's all fucked up because he's grown up in this, urban jungle, essentially, like exposed to the elements, and to say nothing of his very early life where he's raised in group homes and stuff. Like, yeah, it's not awesome when just because you have like an apartment, and that's, not to give too much away here, but the 1001, that the apartment number is 10-1, 10-01, and it's missing the dash, hence 1001, or the number of the
It's
apartment.
the year of numbers, 65 million years ago.
Right.
Colin.
the apartment number 10,001 or 1001. So they flash ahead with him in high school, and it's like, oh yeah, he's a fucking mess of a person, and he's adapting, and he's like really smart, but he's just can't communicate well and all that. And then flash forward 5 years from there and like show him as a senior in high school and on the verge of going into college, but now he's doesn't know his social security number and has like
So it's like they have made it. She has raised this child, struggled to do it, to give him opportunities that she never had, or that they never had, her and her boyfriend Lucky. And then it's like, okay, he's a high school senior. He turns out he's really gifted. He gets into like a tech high school, like a specialty high school, and then they're like, you need to apply to all these major colleges and stuff. And he's like, I don't know. Finally, okay, I'll do it. But now, since she kidnapped him as a child, he has no papers.
Yeah.
So this is a whole new thing where it's like, okay, we've done all this stuff up until now, and now here's the day of reckoning.
Right. And I think also, to this movie's credit, and what I end up really liking about the movie is how it isn't melodramatic. It is dramatic, but there's a way to take the skeleton of this movie and turn it into like a very Tyler Perry, just close up of faces crying constantly. But it's handled just so matter of factly, and it's shot so well. It looks really good. There's like a subtlety in the acting. I mean, even when they're yelling at each other, it isn't so overblown that you are lost as a viewer. And quietly, one of my favorite parts of this movie is the landlord, because they show, there's like
So this is Giuliani's reconstruction of New York.
Right.
Oh, when they're cleaning up Times Square.
Cleaning up everything.
So like
Yeah.
all the houses are being all bought up and the place is being gentrified.
And you will hate this guy with a passion of 1,000 suns because he comes into the apartment. He's like, "Oh man, you guys have had this place forever. Here's what we need to do. We need to fix your plumbing and get you some new fixtures. I mean, look at these, cabinets and stuff
are
like
so old.
that. We're gonna refloor your place. Like, don't worry, we got you." She's like, "Hey, yeah, fine, cool, you know." And then of course, like he's using this as an excuse to essentially like have water shut off and like been like, "Oh yeah, it'll be ready in like 2 months. Do you have somewhere to stay for 2 months?" Like, of course I don't have fucking a place to stay for 2 months. Who has a place to stay for 2 months? And it's essentially showing how like, you know, the true gentrification of places like that where they were just
Man.
not forcibly, but really bending every law imaginable and just inhumanely evicting the people in this neighborhood. And like shops are closing and families are leaving. And it's like, it is background noise to this movie. It's not at all a central point. And the landlord who is like, you have such animosity towards as a viewer, he's not like a mustache twirling, like,
Doesn't have to be.
It's
Doesn't have to be.
It's the insidiousness of how
Yeah.
like straight faced they are. Like, well, yeah, we'll just do this and that. And it's like, oh, well, that's unfortunate that your water isn't working. Well, I mean, you could always leave and find a new place to be. Like, pulling that kind of bullshit where it's like, it's so much more effective when it's a kind of a background figure and to like not a central plot point necessarily. And like you get this cool, you know, cinema quality where as their life is falling apart, their apartment's falling apart, and the movie's named after the apartment. So it's like it's more the story of the apartment than the people. There's like that layer that you can play with there. Stuff like that's involved in it, I think really elevates the film beyond like just a melodrama or a quote unquote sad hood movie. You know, I think there's a lot more substance to it than what this could be, which is just a drag to be a drag. Very artfully done. This director is amazing. A.V. Rockwell. This is her first movie. She won the Sundance Grant Award. So like Sundance has got her back for whatever that means. So yeah, hopefully she's able to do more stuff. Teyana Taylor was great in it. I know like her records, and she's in like some crazy like millennial movies like Roll Bounce or some shit like that.
Yeah, she's
right?
like a dancer.
Yeah.
She like choreographed some Beyonce
Oh,
stuff.
I'm familiar.
She was in Honey.
Yeah. Very cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't know who she was before this, and I was like, dang, who is this person? Like, she does an amazing job.
Yeah.
She's the movie, you know.
Of course. Yeah.
And she's like a tough character.
Right.
She doesn't really do anything to make you like her. She's not particularly nice to people or anything.
Right.
She's just gets stuff done.
Yeah.
And you know that she's like vulnerable and stuff, but she doesn't like allow herself to be. It's an impressive movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it shows you like the vicious cycle of like institutionalization and stuff.
Yeah.
Like they're both coming from like the foster care system. She knows what it's like there. Their family has all essentially done time in one place or another, and they're all trying to get out of it and just trying to be a family and stuff. It's a good depiction of just like how some people live.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, none of this stuff feels untrue. It's not melodramatic. It's just really raw, I guess.
Yeah. And double back to that point that I was making about showing like those jumps ahead in time. Again, you see the effect of those institutions, not just at the person at the moment, like long-term effects of being raised like that and in that kind of environment. And I don't know, it's just a very, very well done movie, well crafted.
I'm glad that you guys like the visual aesthetic, because I remember like seeing the poster for at least a few weeks and just thinking it was really beautiful. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, they have a couple of them, but the one that you're talking about, like the drawn one.
Yeah, that one was amazing.
That one.
Yeah, I think it's like a nod to the Harlem Renaissance
Yep.
style art. And I don't know anything about Harlem other than like Harlem Renaissance.
I was thinking during this movie, I'm like, this could be in a different style, of course, like a Spike Lee movie.
Right.
That's what it feels like, where it's more like a dramatic movie about like people just living their lives in the city.
John Singleton, like that kind of movie. But I think that style has been copied and watered down so much that it's hard to recognize how like revolutionary it was when it first came out. This movie has that kind of like, wow, like auteur spark to it. So it's not surprising that it did the Sundance Awards. And it's also not surprising that you've never heard of this movie. And there's not really, I don't think we're going to see, how did it do against Super Mario? Did we get those box office numbers?
It didn't track, but the cool thing, I will say this about Regal is I have noticed that even movies that don't perform well, it's almost like they have like a term with them. You know what I mean? Because like there were some movies that didn't do well that we liked that ended up not performing, but they ran for like 3-4 months.
Right.
So I'm hoping this one, I imagine it's going to be running at least this week so I can go check it out.
Yeah. Recommended. 1001. Are we, oh God, I can't.
I know.
I don't want to joke around this movie. This is a too crap.
Yeah, it's like a serious movie.
Yeah, are we awarding the do we agree with the Sundance Institute selection to reward this film, or do we disagree with their sentiment? I am going to say I agree. It was a great call. Not that I know the other movies that it was up against or anything, but yes, I agree. The Sundance Award Committee did a good job.
Yeah, give the laurels. Good.
There you go.
Good job.
There
Laurels
you go.
of this film.
Way to stick the landing.
Okay, let's we've got it. We're gonna mix it up for you today. Guess what? We're gonna keep you on your toes. We're gonna hit you with a news and then a game. So Brent, hit us with some news.
All right, question for everybody. How familiar are you with the Dana Carvey filmography?
Partially, a little bit. I mean, Three Amigos, right?
Obviously. No. Wait, that's
No,
Martin Short.
You're right. They're 100% right. Okay, so
Wayne's
wait.
World.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's that stupid spy movie that he's in?
Is that where he's the turtle?
Yeah.
Okay. You're getting warmer. Or no, you're red hot right now, actually.
Jiminy Glick is Martin Short too.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with Martin Short.
Yeah,
I'm going to take myself out of this conversation.
Okay, so the name of the movie where he's the turtle is called Master of Disguise.
Yes.
And for a while there was this urban legend. He recently started his own podcast with David Spade where they're talking about the good old days, and David wanted to know more about this legend. You know, like, hey, I heard that you had to pray for the victims of 9/11 in the turtle suit.
Yeah, 9/11 happened while they were filming this movie.
9/11 happened just as principal photography was starting.
Oh my God.
So they're doing costume tests.
Yeah.
It's really involved, in terms of putting it on, and putting on the prosthetics, putting on the bald cap, everything. Right. Here's what Dana Carvey had to say. After 9/11, I was shooting a movie called Master of Disguise. We took an appropriate time off and went back to shooting. And I was playing, if you've seen the movie, kids, the Turtle Man with a bald cap and a weird thing on my lip and a big green shell outfit. I was in the costume all that day. And then they said, we're going to have a group prayer about 9/11. I wouldn't have held everyone for a half hour getting all that prosthetic makeup off. So, as I remember it, everyone was wearing civilian clothes. I'm dressed as the Turtle Man with a bald head, and I'm holding hands, and I'm lowering my head and praying. And I just thought at that moment, this is very strange. So yeah, confirmed rumor.
I get it. I thought it was some weird public event or something, but if it was the day of, then okay, that makes sense to me.
Or the
There's
day
a
they
much less
came back
funny
from it.
story.
I can't stress how goofy this costume is. So to just be in this very heavy,
a solemn
serious
moment.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! I just want to know how this urban legend got around.
I think because the civilian clad cast,
dude,
it was telling people, yo, this was the craziest thing that could have happened.
Legend confirmed.
Yep.
All right, well, this is a game. I'm the game master.
Oh.
This game is called A.I.MDB.
Very topical.
I'm going to give you a genre of film, and then I'm going to give you 4 plots to movies. 3 of these plots are real movies. 1 of these plots is generated by ChatGPT. So, 3 real plots, plot summaries on IMDb.
Okay.
Hence the name A.I.MDB. 1 phony baloney, and you have to guess which is which.
Okay.
And we're going to go by genre. And all these movies are going to be from the 80s and 90s because that's when there was real movies.
Okay.
No fake movies.
All right.
So again, 3 of these are a real, 1 of these is a fake. 80s horror. A, your first choice. In a remote cabin in the woods, a group of college students unleashes an ancient evil when they play a cursed board game. As the malevolent force possesses them one by one, they must fight for their survival and find a way to banish the demon back to its realm before it's too late. Your second plot, also known as B. 3 geeky college girls who can't get a date organize a seance and become sex-starved vamps. Is it C? A Martian begins to attack the patrons and staff of a movie theater during the 1950s as a low-budget science fiction film plays on the screen. Or is it D? A race of space vampires arrives in London and infects the populace, beginning an apocalyptic descent into chaos. One of these plots that I have just described to you from the horror genre is AI generated. The other 3 are real. What are your guesses? A, B, C, or D?
I've narrowed it down to B or D. Those are the 2 I'm deliberating. Anybody else have a different opinion on that?
A is the board game one.
Yeah.
A,
That sounds like Ouija to me.
A is a remote cabin in the woods. A group of college students unleashes an ancient evil.
Yeah.
B is 3 geeky college girls, can't get a date, organize a seance and become sex vamps. C is a Martian begins to attack the patrons and staff of a movie theater during the 1950s as a low-budget science fiction film plays on the screen.
Yeah, that rings a bell to me. But D doesn't ring a bell and B doesn't. Or B's just clunky to me.
Yeah, B or D. But I can see A.
What was D?
D is a race of space vampires arrives in London and infects the populace.
All these sound good.
B and D are sus.
I
think
all
A
these
is
movies.
just Ouija.
Number A.
Justine says A.
You say A?
Brent, you're between B and D. You have to.
No, but I want to confer with Dylan on this. Like, what are you feeling? Do you like B more? Or?
I would say D,
All right, put me down for B.
and then, yeah.
The 18th finger. The AI plot is A. A remote cabin in the woods. A group of college students unleashes an ancient evil when they play a cursed board game.
It's a fake.
We made it up.
Sounds good though.
I guess I thought it was Evil Dead,
No, this is
but without just like
I thought it was Ouija. Okay.
B. 3 geeky college girls. That is Nightmare Sisters from 1980.
Unfamiliar.
C. I thought it's the movie you were probably thinking of. Was the movie I was thinking of was his Matinee
Yeah.
with John Goodman. No, that was Midnight Movie Massacre from 1989.
Uh-huh.
And lastly, the vampires that descend on London is Life Force from 1985. Moving on, we are looking at romantic comedies. Your first plot. A coal mine in northern English village may be closing, which would also mean the end of the miners' brass band. The next plot that you must determine if it is AI or if it is real. A young doctor on his way across the country to a job interview crashes his car in a small town and is sentenced to work for several days at the town hospital. That is your second one. Your third. A commitment-phobic man falls in love with a free-spirited woman who teaches him how to care for abandoned ducklings in Central Park. And lastly, a New York girl sets her father up with a beautiful woman in a troubled marriage while her stepsister gets engaged.
Can I hear A again?
A coal mine in a northern English village may be closing, which would also mean the end of the miners' brass band.
New strategy for me. I'm going to go with the thing that doesn't sound weird, so D.
these are romantic comedy plots.
Yeah.
3 of them are.
Yeah,
One of them
and
is fiction. We made it up.
One of them doesn't even sound like romantic comedy.
Which one would that be?
The first one.
Yeah,
A.
that's a red herring.
I'm gonna say B.
You say that B is the AI.
I'm gonna say A, even though I hope C is a real movie, the one with the ducks.
Yeah.
I want
that
to watch
has
that.
to
I
be
want to
real.
watch that movie.
I need that to be
Well, I'm
real.
gonna say A.
I happen to know that A is real.
A is real. Do you know the name of the movie?
Brassed off.
It is. 1986 is Brassed Off. Fucking respect.
That's a romantic
The
comedy.
romantic comedy.
What's the
Crazy
romantic
respect for
part?
that pull. That's sick.
I don't know. I mean, a romantic comedy can be set in anything.
So Dylan, A has been eliminated.
Damn it.
B is also fact. That is Doc Hollywood starring
Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox, a young doctor on his way across the country to a job interview in his car, blah, blah, blah. C, which no one chose, is an AI fabrication. A commitment-phobic man falls in love with a free-spirited woman who teaches him how to care for abandoned ducklings in Central Park.
We got you.
As you punch in ChatGPT, romantic comedy with ducks.
Oh, you put the duck thing.
I type in
See, because that's the thing is like that was like such an outlier that I was like, I thought that was a
because if I just put in romantic comedies, it would be just like the most generic shit ever. I'm like, that sounds like anything. And you also have to worry about them actually being
Real
a plot to something. So to avoid that, I put in something kind of specific, which is the duck thing.
Oh, well, now you're telling us your method.
Well, yeah, it's a fair. I
I
got all the cards on the table
You
here.
know what messed me up with that one? First of all, in my mind, I'd forgotten what the plot of B was. So I jumped the gun on that. But what messed me up was the stupid Good Person, which we recently saw. And there's like Morgan Freeman and he like sits by a lake. And then I was like, yeah, people sit by lakes. There's ducks.
Well, so far we have 1 point awarded to Justine for being able to pick the AI in the first one. No one got the second round. Round 3, our final round, with an asterisk that there's a bonus question with a completely different format. But our final official round, because I think that's what the other one's funny. This is the first time I used ChatGPT. I've only heard of like AI and all this stuff as like, a buzz thing. It's like actually using this shit is kind of crazy. Okay. This is the genre here is sex comedy, aka titty comedies. Again, all of these selections are from the 80s or 90s.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna American Pie you, and I'm not gonna go back to like Charlie Chaplin's sex movies from or whatever the fuck, some silent film era shit. 80s and 90s, where these sex comedies take place in, and these plots, you must determine if they are real or fake. Your first one: a struggling dirt bike track owner teams up with a seductive businesswoman to save his business, but as they work together, they find themselves in a heated love-hate relationship that threatens to ruin everything. Your next plot: a group of sex-crazy guys pose as porno filmmakers just to audition groups of lovelies in various states of undress. Eventually, they are pressured into coming up with an actual movie. Your next plot: a less than elite group of college co-eds pursue sexual adventure and bits of revenge and actually do some of the work they are expected to do at a resort over the summer. And your last plot, which you must determine if this is a real sex comedy or if it is AI generated. To prove his independence, a cocky teenager bets his father that he can support himself without the family business. But no one is more surprised than he is when the sex cream he invents actually works.
What's the first one?
A struggling dirt bike track owner teams up with a seductive businesswoman to save his business, but as they work together, they find themselves in a heated love-hate relationship that threatens to ruin everything.
Damn it, I'm torn between A and C.
I've been there before.
Hey, listen.
I don't see Colin typing in sex cream, so I'm between A and C.
Right.
I want to hear other deliberations that are happening before I make my final decision.
I can see AI making up sex cream, but I don't know.
So do I put you down for D?
Yeah. D for sex cream.
I'm going to say A.
You think A is the AI?
Okay, to try to tie her, I'll go with C.
A, the struggling dirt bike track owner. We made it up.
It's a total fabrication.
Oh, there, I hear a wheeze. I mean, there's a.
It isn't real.
See, you're pretty good with swears because you say 80s. I think, is that Rad? Because I haven't seen Rad in a while.
I have to be 100% real with you. So I'm trying to put in plots, right? And I'm like, if you too broad, if you're just like sex comedy, it's just like guys cross country lose their virginity. It's like, that's actually a plot. So you have to like put in these specifics to like make it.
You did dirt bike track.
So first I was like, zookeepers. I swear to God. I said a teen sex comedy about zookeepers. Just trying to think of like ad libs, right? The ChatGPT, first of all, replaces teen to tune because you can't say teen sex. Teen sex and zoo are the most horrid shit that you could possibly type in.
Yeah.
So it's like it auto-corrected teen to toon. So it's like an animated feature about a group of horny zookeepers who plot to have sex with all of the animals.
Fuck.
But I was like, oh, what the fuck? Okay, take out the teen sex. Let's say 80s sex comedy, dirt bike, dirt track.
And what's the fucking sex cream movie?
The sex cream movie?
Is this
Okay,
a porno
I forgot.
that
I
you
need to
just made up?
tell you the real movies. So B, the sex crazed guys who pose as porno filmmakers. That is Screen Test from 1985.
Yep.
C, less than a group of college co-eds that pursue sexual adventure and are actually do their job over the summer. That is Summer Job from 1989. And to prove his independence, a cocky teenager bets his father that he can support him. This was the wildest fucking swerve to me because you have to find movies that aren't like super obvious, but that plots sound funny. But no one is more surprised than he is when the sex cream he invents actually works. That is Body Waves from 1992.
Hell yeah, it is.
I don't know, what is this father's business? Why is sex cream? How does it work?
Body Waves?
Body Waves from
The art
1992.
for that is really cool.
And
That's
you can
cool.
just look up IMDb and you can see these films. Now I have a fun twist on this game. We're just going to watch Body Waves,
Yes.
dead silence. So what you're going to hear on the microphone is just going to be the sounds of sex waves coming from.
Hey, hold on. So would IMDb's description of Star Wars be a war amongst the stars?
It's an intergalactic battle between rebels. I
There
don't
you
know.
go.
I don't know. Okay, so to mix it up, you have to guess the real title of this plot. So this is a plot of a real film.
Okay.
No AI shenanigans.
Okay.
One of these selections is the real title of the movie.
Yeah.
The other three are fake.
Yeah.
Our writers made it up.
All right.
So
Shout out to the writing staff.
I'm going to give you the plot, and then I'm going to give you 4 options. Your job is to guess the real title of the real movie that actually exists. A mutated creature is wreaking havoc in a small town in Idaho. A police chief and a government scientist team up to save their rural town from its menace. Is the title of this film Toxic Terror, Mutagen, The Being, or Creature from Within?
Mutagen.
One for Mutagen.
D, the creature within.
What is the name of the film, Justine?
The Being.
The movie is 1981's The Being. I've got to say, somehow, the AI is not going to get past Justine. All of us are fucked. When these robots come down,
Oh, I embrace our AI overlords.
we're going to get shattered.
Yeah.
We got Sarah Connor over here
Yeah.
holding it down for the resistance. That's all I have for A.I.MDB. You guys like this one?
I do.
Okay.
But I'm going to overthink every single one. Which I kind of love. Yeah.
That's how they get you.
Yeah. So well, I guess we'll leave it to the people to email us, moviemasters760@gmail.com. Let us know what you think of this game.
I'm Jonathan Frakes.
I'm Jonathan Frakes. Have you ever seen? We're talking. What's this movie? What's that show called?
Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction.
We're watching this show called Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction from the 90s. Jonathan Frakes, Riker from
Next Gen.
he comes out. He's like the host, and he comes out with such this aggressive swagger.
Every time.
Can you trust your eyes? Look at this optical illusion and tell me, is this curved or is it flat? It's flat. It's got this delivery. And then they tell you 5 short stories, like straight up goosebumps, like, silly, like kids go into a house and it's haunted and they run out. Next story. What was
Lawyer. I don't know. Some guy runs a business, but it's like a scam, and he's just collecting all this money and hiding it in a wall behind his desk. And then he gets cursed and he dies. But it turns out there was radiation leaking from a medical place next door, and the hole he put in the wall was a hole in the lead panel. So he had been getting radiation poisoning, and that's why he died.
So you, the viewer, have to determine if it's false
Yeah.
or if it really happened. And so at the end, they'll go past all the movies. So remember the one about the guy and the doctor? Mm-hmm. It's fake. We made it up.
That one was real, though, by the way.
That was a real one. But
Quick question that just as you were talking about this, I'm like, wow, you guys watched this whole other thing aside from like watching movies?
Well, Colin and I have also made our tiny little Criterion Club.
Yes.
We just never stop watching stuff.
it's insane.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
I hate it.
What did we watch? What was the last one we watched?
Summertime?
No, the Godzilla one.
Godzilla.
Oh, the original Godzilla's is in Criterion. Yeah.
It was
Like some space.
It was like Invasion.
Planet.
I think it was Invasion of the Astro Monster. Yeah, we abide by the random number generator. This time around, I got to watch Blue Velvet. Me, the Lynch hater. So I can
I was
finally
thinking
watch
about
Lynch movie.
revisiting that.
Yeah,
recently,
I'll let
but
you know how
I
it goes.
couldn't pull the trigger.
You're on that?
I'm going. That's the next movie we have queued up. It's Locked and Loaded.
Blue Velvet.
Horrible. Rather watch Katharine Hepburn
Doing.
just
Getting staph infection in her eye.
Yeah, she did this movie. Summertime in Venice, and it's like it's a man, maybe proto senior cinema. She's a secretary, and she saves up her money for a once in a lifetime trip to Venice because she's obsessed with Venice for some reason.
She's like a single woman over 50.
Yeah, and she's just lonely and in this place, and like, just there for whatever. And this shopkeep kind of takes a shine to her and pursues her, and she
Fancy Italian man.
Yeah, fancy Italian shopkeep. And so it's like just a cool romance film set in Italy in the 50s. But at some point, it's a hilarious scene because she's like kind of backing up to like take pictures to get this picture right? Because she's a tourist, she's taking a lot of pictures. And this little like street rat kid, he's like bothering her the whole time. Lady, you want to do this? Lady, you want to do that? And he's like in her ear. And she's just like, now quiet, you don't say anything to me. I don't want to hear you talk for the next blah, 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 blah. And so she's backing up, and you're seeing the kid, and he's watching her like back up into
Board the canal.
The canal, because of course it's Venice, so everything's underwater, right? And she falls backwards into the water, and it's one of the best shots. She's falling backwards, and the kid just grabs her camera, and it saves the camera, but she still falls in the ocean or in the canal. And it's played for comedic effect or whatever, because she told the kid to shut up, and then he could have warned her, but she told him to shut up. But in real life, she got a staph infection from falling into that filthy, disgusting water, and it persisted with her for her entire life after filming that movie. So,
oh no!
In her eye.
Yes, Katharine Hepburn is like half blind because of this single shot in this movie that you can watch.
It's so sad.
Fucked up, right?
Gross.
Yeah, you've already determined that Blue Velvet's next, but if this one was set in Venice, another Venice film, which is a favorite of Dylan and mine, called Don't Look Now. You guys familiar with that?
I don't
Donald
know.
Sutherland. You're in for a treat when you watch it. It had its own controversy, but not because of injury. But
right.
Yeah, you'll get to it.
All right. So, Dylan, why don't you tell the people what we're watching next?
Unlimited.
Hey everybody, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Regal Movie Masters Unlimited. We have a bunch of movies to watch this week, so let's get into it. No jokes for any of this. We got Paint, the movie about Bob Ross. Renfield, the movie about Dracula's servant. Pope's Exorcist, very self-explanatory. Mafia Mama, hell yeah. Nefarious, what is that? And Suzumi, the one anime I hope to get to watch. Anyways, everybody, we'll see you next time. Bye.